Hi, welcome to Aren't You Crazy, the podcast that flips the script on the struggling artist paradigm.
We're your hosts, Tessie
And Erin Elizabeth Reed.
Two artistic multi-hyphenates who believe that every person is creative.
And every creative should pursue their passions. Each episode,
we shine a light on our and others' creative journeys along the pathway to personal success.
If living a life of creative purpose sounds daring, then yeah, you could call us crazy.
We embrace it.
And we want to know, aren't you crazy too? No, seriously.
'Cause we are. Hi, welcome to Aren't You Crazy? We are bringing you an episode back from the vault. Enjoy! Hello, Erin.
Hello, Tessie. It's so good to see you today.
It's so good to see you too. What you all don't know is that we've been discussing what to talk about today.
Yes.
And it's been exciting.
It has been, mostly because I've never done this before, and I'm really pumped because Tessie is trying this out right now. And you're working with an Akashic Records healer?
Yeah.
Okay, so tell our listeners, if you've never heard of the Akashic Records, a little bit about what that is.
I mean, I'm not a specialist, but the Akashic Records are the registers or the records of everything that has happened in the world. And every person has one. You need to ask your spiritual guides, and they tell you about your past lives and what are the things that are holding you back, or what are the wounds that you still need to heal and stuff. So there is 5 basic wounds that every human being experiences in one way or the other. So there is the rejection wound, abandonment, humiliation, treason, and injustice. So the rejection one is the one that you feel rejected in your right to exist. So for example, if let's say that a mother gets pregnant or for example, suffers sexual abuse and gets pregnant, the wound of rejection is already been built there because she really doesn't want the baby. So energetically, that starts the wound.
Oh my God.
Now, the abandonment is when there was no affection, and this creates the people that are dependent, codependent. They need constant attention and support. They're unstable emotionally. They can't accept a no for an answer, for example. And they fear solitude a lot. And humiliation is the one of you had a parent that had too much control, and so you had an absence of freedom, or your parents felt shame for your behavior or for your actions, just controlling everything, the activities, how to play, how to dress. They feel a lot of shame in themselves. The greatest fear is the freedom because they don't know how to regulate that. The treason is the expectations and the trust. It has connection with love and sexuality. The wound of treason is the child that has been manipulated from parents that are focused on themselves. So narcissists. The child then becomes a provider for the needs of the parent and does everything possible to please the parent, especially in the parent of the opposite sex. So the mask that people wear is the one of control. This is the defense mechanism for everything, for fidelity, engagements, and you put that same amount of pressure in others. So you want to have everything in control, and if the other people don't have it, they're shedding control. You don't tolerate them. And then injustice is the inability to integrate individuality and authenticity and really express who we are and be who we are. The person that suffers injustice, principally from parent of the same sex, which is cold, severe. It acts to be perfect, so hard to ask for help and to receive. Do not admit having problems. Super demanding and controlling of themselves. Excessively interested in order. A little bit hard to show affection.
Wow.
And, all of us have most of them.
Yeah.
Some of us have just some of them, but I think I have all of them. So
I was going to say I could recognize elements of most, if not all, of those within myself. When you say that the Akashic Records are like records of everything that has happened, do you mean every like factual physical event, or are you just speaking about emotional events?
I think it's more in terms of spiritual and energies. It's not about keeping track of the history, it's the keeping track of all the souls and how their karma interacts and their dharma interacts.
Oh.
So if you were a person that 3 past lives before, you were put on a boat at sea and you didn't want to do that trip. And then there was a catastrophe in the boat and the boat sank and people died. You carry that to this life. For example, you get seasick constantly, or like you get apprehensive and you think that the boat is going to sink and you think, okay, am I going to be eaten by a shark? And that fear is from your record of the past life that you don't know or you don't have access yet. But once you make that clear, there is a way to connect to that past life in a conscious level and say, this is not the life I'm living right now. This is me right now. That was another version of myself. I am here, I am now, I am safe. And that impressively solves for a lot of people the problem of nausea, of like being afraid of boats.
Really?
Yeah. It's crazy.
This is so wild. Like,
it's really wild.
Side note, I had a dream about a sinking boat last night that one of my brothers was driving. We were supposed to be teaching him how to drive, only nobody showed him how to use the throttle. And so for whatever reason, like he could steer the boat, but without giving it power, the boat just slowly sank. And then I had to go like dive under and rescue him and pull him up to safety.
Wow. That's crazy that I picked that particular example.
Yeah.
From everything in the world, I picked your dream.
Yeah.
That's wild too. There's so many things that we can explain with science. And even the people that practice the Akashic Records, for example, the person that I'm seeing right now, she bases herself in a lot of, spirituality and like hearing and feeling what all of those senses are open and activated to listen to the energies and the spiritual guides and everything. But she also bases a lot of things in science and factual things. They go inside and they find those wounds that I said at the beginning that have a factual and a real connection to something that you experience, how that affects you energetically and how can you heal it on a subconscious level. Because in a conscious level, you can be like, I'm ready for success. I'm doing everything I need. And your subconscious is like, no, you're not. You have panic of people telling you that you're wrong, that what you're doing is shit, being criticized. And that subconscious is blocking everything else.
Yeah.
Even if in your conscious level, you're saying, why haven't I got my career that I wanted? Because your subconscious is still wounded for the lack of attention or love or rejection or manipulation. And that's what you carry in an energetic level when you go and do your activities.
Yeah. I want to know how the healer that you're working with incorporates the science with the energy.
Well, yet again, I'm not an expert in this. I'm beginning to grasp what it is.
Yeah.
So in the philosophy of the Akashic Records, we come here right now to understand something that didn't get clear in past lives or that we want to work on. So if I come to this life, I choose my parents that are going to teach me about those wounds that I haven't been able to heal from the past or that I haven't experienced and I need to experience in this time.
To learn,
to love, to rise above, and to just live in love and harmony. We come to enjoy life. We come to be happy. We don't come to suffer, to prove that everything is hard. But to arrive there, we need to understand what are the wounds that our soul chose to heal and to be happy. It's a little bit esoteric, but bear with me. Just the amount of healing and changing that occurs in your life ricochets everybody around you.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're not the same anymore. Let's say that you're bitter, that you're complaining about something, that you're unhappy with your circumstances. The minute you take responsibility for what you are feeling and experiencing and start to heal it and don't wait for others to heal it for you or for others to take charge of giving you the permission to heal.
Yeah.
When you start that healing process, like a domino effect, boom. There are people that were going to just completely exit your life. There are people who are going to gravitate to you again. Or maybe you will heal relationships with your parents or with your grandparents that you never thought you could heal and that only free you. The essence of this is that it is nobody else's fault that you have these wounds. It is what it was. It doesn't justify that you suffered trauma or violence. But human beings, we focus too much on the suffering and the victimization of things instead of trying to understand and healing it actively. Because for healing it actively, you have to go into the depths of that darkness and the soul and realize that you were blaming other people for the things that are in your decision and in your control to heal.
Yeah.
And that's extremely hard. And it takes a lot of effort and love and a lot of compassion and empathy. But it's very empowering.
Yeah.
And extremely freeing.
So in my session, the healer said something that really blew my mind.
If your father was this way, you went to look for a person exactly like him. And when you find a person that is like your mother, who was the opposite of your father, you are going to become your father with that partner.
To always like have a balance,
Exactly.
to always that relationship interaction.
And it was like, oh my God, yes, you're right. Oh, no. You know, when the other person is different, you are going to duplicate the problems of the other parents or the wounds that are the hardest. Because some people have more wounds with their moms and some people have more wounds with their dads. Yeah, she asks a certain amount of questions. So when you open the Akashic Records, the person that knows how to do this, they open up a channel to the spiritual guides and respond to very specific questions that you make. For example, why do I keep wanting to travel to Indonesia? Or what is my true purpose in life? So you go through all those questions through a 5, 6, 7 questions. And sometimes ancestors pop in. That was my case. My mother was there very present. She was like really, really wanting to speak up. And that's the spiritual part. After the spiritual gets marinated with the pragmatic, there is a lot of audios that are sent of a person that speaks about the wounds. And then later you do a subconscious reprogramming. So in this subconscious, you do a meditation and either you repeat the things out loud or you listen to them while you're falling asleep.
And so scientifically, what's happening is that you're soothing your mind, you're soothing your subconscious, you're reducing the cortisol. The more you work on this healing on a subconscious level, the less stress you will feel, the less anxiety. Your cortisol levels are going to come down. You have less problems of palpitations in the heart. It is known that cortisol in excess is the one that is making us sick.
The intrusive negative thoughts start becoming a little less loud than before.
It really goes hand in hand with mind and spirit at the same time.
But then it goes deeper than that, because if you are having problems with your friendships or with your partner or with your marriage or whatever, it's because you're putting the responsibility of the wounds on the other person. You're not angry at them. You're angry at your parents.
Oh, I see.
All of the passive aggressiveness or whatever that you have is a fight that we pick with our parents that weren't there to receive.
Just hearing you talk about this is like shedding fresh perspective on. Oh my God. Just like some of my own ways of feeling or believing. And not to say that everything that I've ever felt is wrong somehow. It's just I can see why I might be having a certain reaction to a situation.
That's why I find it so amazing and thrilling and empowering, because it's like, it's your birthday. You just sat down, they gave you, if you like puzzles, they gave you a giant puzzle. It's the puzzle of your favorite country, bridge, flower, animal, whatever. And you have all the puzzle pieces everywhere. Oh God, how do I start constructing this, the ear of the puma or whatever, right? And it's finding those pieces. All of the things that you have gone through and the ways you have reacted is because your soul is still seeking for that ear of the puma in the puzzle. And until you find it with love, compassion, empathy, people that love you, that make you feel important, valued, cleaning the toxicity, cleaning the negativity, cleaning the I must do this, I must achieve this, I must get this car, all of the noises that are there. Oh, there is the ear. Oh God, yes. So now the ear is there and it's complete. And you're like, okay, then I can move on to the next step.
Yes. We get to choose the experiences that we have in this life, from the mundane to the extravagant. And we often don't realize how the small, tiny decisions that we're making every day, especially the subconscious ones, our habits, our behaviors, our thought patterns, our inner dialogue, all of those things are result in micro choices that are dictating our experience. And if we get real and still and brave and quiet, can go back and make new choices. It's like a giant science experiment, you know?
Yeah.
Like, look at all your variables, see what the outcome is. Did you like that outcome? Change a variable, you know? And see what that outcome is. Like, just keep tweaking and fine-tuning until you get the experiences that your heart really wants to have in this life.
Absolutely. Repeating the same variables is never going to get you to a different result.
New result.
And also knowing that we will never stop growing and we will never stop healing. It's not like, oh, okay, I already did 3 jumping jacks and 5 push-ups. I'm fit for life, right? Like I'm great. This constant evolution with opening and love of saying, I know that I'm not perfect. I will never be, but I can try to live my life as vibrantly as I can. We don't want to survive. We want to thrive.
Yes.
And the quest for thriving, that's where the whole dilemma is. That's where the wounds come to play. So you don't need to go to a Akashic healer. If you can, and if you can find someone that you connect with that can help you, then I strongly recommend it to do it at least once in your lifetime. But if not, you can go on YouTube, find Ho'oponopono meditations, rejection wound meditations, healing my inner child meditations, beautiful healers all over the world that have created 8, 7, 4, 3 hours of content that will heal you while you sleep. You don't even have to write.
That's pretty convenient.
That's great, right? It's just giving yourself permission to understand that
we were created in order to expand and create more love and beauty in this world, and honor yourself for being part of that greatness.
And it moves a lot of things in the internal waters. You cry or you get angry. Today's session was 4 hours.
Woo.
I cried. I got angry. I felt embarrassed. I felt like my body wasn't enough. A lot of things.
Wow. Well, now I want to learn so much more about the Akashic Records. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and open to sharing what you're learning and a little bit of your experience thus far. It's a brave thing to put yourself out there like this, and I'm excited and emboldened by it. And regardless of whether you're into these kinds of
juju topics.
Yeah, juju topics. You still should be mindful of your own energies. You know, like we all have that power to radiate what we think and feel and want. Radiate love and happiness, everybody, please. The world needs more of it right now.
Celebrate each other. We're all experiencing a lot of stuff, so let's be kind to one another.
Yeah.
Surrender.
Man, wow. Thank you, Tessie.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Hey, I'm sure you loved this episode. Before you go, here are 3 ways you can help us keep things crazy.
You could just leave us a rating or share this episode so more people can access this content. Easy peasy, right?
Feeling ultra crazy?
Donate to the show by clicking the link provided in the podcast description or on our Instagram's bio.
I'm sure you will.
Stay crazy out there, y'all. Stay crazy!